First thing on the list this week, we have our Skype call with our Season 3 discussion that's coming up. So I'll go ahead and introduce everyone that's here. First off, we have Delta.
I'm not here to do much. I'm just taking bets on how many times this is going to fail before we can actually get a decent recording set up.
Nice.
Joel Minsk is here.
Hello, everybody. Your voice actor of all is here.
Schlumpy.
Howdy.
Mytho.
Hello.
And Lightning Rabbit.
Good evening, chaps.
So let's first start off by going back in time and talking a little bit about Season 1 and Season 2, the transition between them, and how it improved.
Well, like was mentioned before the recording broke, I think the fact that they, in season, actually incorporated fans' kind of ideas and gave kind of, I wouldn't call it shout-outs, but, they referenced the fan base in the later episodes. I think that was a good point.
What were some of the things that they shouted out about? There was obviously the biggest one, and of course that one didn't work out very well.
Yes, we all remember that.
Well, there was a scene with, adult references, like the bowling alley with the Big Lebowski, that children who are intended to watch it would have no idea.
Yeah, the Benny Hill theme tune was included, even though technically that was a shout-out, but yeah.
And on Hearts and Hooves Day, didn't they ask the Bronies who they wanted paired on that episode?
I think there was a kind of, I can't remember what they're called now, like a questionnaire type voting thingy, but I don't know if it influenced it or not.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really, that was right after I joined the fandom, so I don't know if I actually saw anything about it.
Mm.
And then there was they did put what's her name called? Wildfire?
Yeah,
Firefire.
Wildfire.
Oh, yeah.
He was in there, yep.
Also, I'd say that another thing in Season 2 that was good was the animation changed quite a lot as well.
That was a lot.
Particularly magic and things like that changed.
I actually didn't notice it.
Season 2 also had more character development than Season 1, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, Season 2,
it being
great that there was a lot more character-centered episodes, whereas in Season 1 it would be all the main 6 in an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some episodes in Season 2 that would have 3 or 2 of the characters instead.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did they branch out?
Argue with that on one episode, but I'm not going to.
Oh,
Did they branch out a little bit more in Season 2? I know Dragon Quest is Season 2, and then, because they went on adventures, they go outside Ponyville.
Well, yeah,
I don't know if they did that more in Season 2, though.
There was a lot more world building in Season 2.
Yeah.
Not to mention that they brought back Luna, who was
yes, that was good.
On any other episode.
Big deal. That was really
Season 1.
Yeah, need more of that.
Her canon a little bit more.
I'm pretty sure we can see more of Luna in Season 3 as well as Cadence, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually say I think they've been kind of pushing the boat out more in terms of what they can almost get away with in the respect that, Season 1 wasn't very dark, I guess you could call it.
Season 1 was
2,
all
they
about
had, the changelings and things like
that.
that.
The changelings.
They kind of pushed the boat out a bit more.
I feel like I was watching a Disney movie on the Season 2 finale. That's what I
awesome.
The musical numbers are a lot better as well, I think.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Schlumpy?
It's a wonderful thing.
I still like the Twilight magical Gatling gun with Pinky.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I jumped for joy when I saw that.
See, things like that.
And one other thing that I want to mention is that, what did you think of the way they did the villains in Season 2 as opposed to Season 1, with how did Discord and Chrysalis compare to Nightmare Moon?
Oh, I
think
much better.
They had John Delancey as Discord because every brony who is older who knows who John Delancey is amazing, and since he's been on it, bronies have become bigger and bigger with all that John Delancey's been doing. But I think it's great that they had someone who is more
well known,
more dangerous, and almost won. I think both him and Chrysalis, or whatever they call it, Twinkling Queen, they both almost won, and there was a fight involved. With Nightmare Moon, it was just, I say this, and then boom, you're dead.
I'd like to kind of pick up on that and say the same thing, just quickly. I think that with the Season 2 villains, there was a lot more effort put into it. Nightmare Moon was very easily defeated in that respect. The Changeling Queen basically won before they managed to win everything back again.
Well, yeah.
But that's
both of them.
That's the thing, though.
Discord and Chrysalis pretty much won before they were finally defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Nightmare Moon, I think she carried more of a sinister air than Chrysalis or Discord. Because, I mean, Discord, pretty much, he reminds me of, like, Clown, pretty much. Just some crazy guy who just wants to have fun. Chrysalis, well, I don't really see her evil, other than that conquering part, but I mean, she was just looking for food for people.
She's sinister.
Yeah, she's sinister, but
She
didn't really...
Discord is just
them.
Discord is just dark and random.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that respect, Nightmare Moon was just... She was very easily beatable because she was overconfident in her ability. She just thought, well, I can come along and win this easily. And then she didn't. So...
And I like in the season finale of the second season where they like, oh, we gotta go get the elements, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna do that again? They're not known for repetition. Then they just like basically snubbed that completely. I'm like, yay, they didn't do it.
No, I like that kind of twisting.
And then that also gets a little bit of Disney movie in, because, love conquers all.
Yeah.
It's the power of love.
Thank you, John.
Glad someone referenced that.
It's the
Proud of you.
circle of life. I'm sorry.
That's
I
not
made that PMV. That's the power of love with the scene from season 2. Regardless.
Yes, anyway.
We're
I
getting off
digress.
topic.
And what do you think about characters? The new characters that were introduced in season 2, as opposed to season 1.
Well, we got an entire new species. Actually, many new species introduced into Equestria.
Yeah.
And then some fairly unique new background ponies like what's his name? The steroid pony. Roid Rage,
Snowflake?
Snowball?
Snowflake.
Snowflake.
So,
We got
yeah.
Doctor
Love
Who.
that guy.
Yeah.
Well,
again.
Doctor Who, wasn't he in season 1 too?
Yeah, but he became... I
Yeah,
think
but
he
they
became more.
canonized him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they canonized him.
Because he appeared as the guy... Oh, like the Flim Flam brothers, of course. And
Oh, yeah, Flim
other
Flam.
people, and he appeared in that episode doing the timekeeping in the competition. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I think... What was the question, just quickly, so I can answer this properly?
The new canon characters that were seen.
Well, there were a lot, actually. Wasn't a return of Trixie, but Luna did return again as kind of like she had a whole episode, which was good,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because you all know why. Anyway, yeah, I think...
And Pip.
Oh yeah, Pip, the only British character in the show.
I want
And
to
only-
see Swattingham in the season 3, just
Yeah,
to say.
I'd like to see that, yeah. Obviously,
Las
Pip, the only
Vegas.
character I can relate to, because...
Well, it's kind of funny because they said Trixie's going to be in season 3.
Yes, she
She's
did.
from Trottingham.
Really?
Yeah.
And there are
Really?
leaked images.
I didn't know that.
Which
Am I missing something out here? I don't
I have
remember.
a feeling we're going to talk about Trixie in season 3, aren't we?
Yes, I imagine so.
We'll get to that.
Because there's something I noticed on her, but yeah, we'll get to that.
Can I ask then, what, so, where was it mentioned that Trixie was from Trustingham? I don't remember that.
Well, I think it's inferred because when in her episode, she mentioned that the Ursa Minor that she fought, or the Ursa Major that she fought, that she talked about, was in Trottingham.
It's possible, yeah. I can see what you mean then.
And of course, it never happened.
Well, right.
I want to know what the hell happened to Pip after the Halloween episode.
No, I saw him in the background on that Fluttershy Iron Will episode. He was in the background. I'm serious.
Oh yeah, I think I remember someone saying that he was. I don't remember seeing it myself, but I kind of do feel like after introducing a character like that and explaining where he's from and giving him a name and British accent, he didn't appear again. I thought it was a bit strange, but
Well, a lot of people said he lost his British accent halfway through the show.
he kind of did. That's coming from a British person. I can confirm that he did kind of lose it a little bit.
And I still don't get how giving candy to a
fake British person.
still don't get how sacrificing candy to something you're afraid of is a fun part of a festival.
No, it's better than a human sacrifice.
They're like, kids, won't that be fun? I'd be like, no, not really.
Like I say, candy sacrifice equals better than human sacrifice. So only sacrifice.
We also know that
Human
Gilda's
Equestria
not the
is
only
silly.
Griffin.
How did you do that?
You know that Gilda's not the only Griffin.
Oh yes, that's true. There was the other one on the train with the
The French
PPP, whatever.
Francois.
They added donkeys this season as well. We know 2 donkeys.
Yeah, lots of donkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Cows are Canadian.
Or from Wisconsin or wherever.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And the sheep.
Oh, it was Minnesota, was it? Okay, fair enough.
They had
Don't you know?
Sheep, pigs, well, kind of pigs, not...
They had pigs.
Yeah,
The pigs didn't talk, so I don't know about that.
yeah well, yeah, that is true.
Pigs are sentient.
They did appear, though.
Yeah.
But they didn't speak, so, yeah.
Diamond dogs.
I think
Goats.
probably one of the biggest things...
Say diamond dog.
Of course. I think probably the biggest thing for me was the whole introduction of, because I know originally she wasn't going to be, but the introduction of a third Alicon
Yeah,
was probably one of the kind of biggest things.
Yeah, I have lots of questions about that.
Yeah.
Like, is she also immortal?
Are they
Yeah.
supposed to be
I don't
explaining
think
that in season 3, I think? Did they
I think
mention
so.
that?
Well,
They're going to mention like what she does and things.
I hope
Yeah.
so, because I mean they talked about it briefly. That now we know that she's the ruler of the Crystal Kingdom, but she also seems to age differently than the other Alicorns. So I'm not sure how that works.
Shining armor.
Shining armor, yeah, they have Twilight's.
Hmm.
It makes you wonder
Well,
what other
Yeah.
I mean, like,
characters
she's
are going to be introduced.
grew up along what, and her main isn't like, yeah, and then there's the
Would you count-
penguins, like, what's this
Would
story?
you count Chrysalis as an Alicorn, in your opinion?
technically
I
no,
would
because
think-
no, I don't think so, because she isn't a pony, basically.
Right.
She counts as a changeling, so it'd be
She's
something
an
different,
insect, pretty much.
basically.
Yeah.
Or from the design.
She has bug wings and
Hmm.
insectoid eyes, pretty much, so
I'd like to
I
kind of
wouldn't count.
Also, the thing about Cadence is, like, there's this whole thing about, I don't know, because it was a bit laggy, I'm not sure whether you touched on it or not, but it, something on, like, we're not really sure how she would have come about because she's Celestia's niece, but,
Well, so was Shiny,
yeah, so was Prince Bluebird as well. And it's confusing because you're not sure how old she is because she was around and quite young when she was the foal sitter for Twilight.
Yeah, she looked like a teenager back then.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I never thought about that.
She must age
Hasbro has some
differently or
things
something.
to answer.
Also, just kind of going off on a slight tangent, there's been like this model or toy called Princess Skylar.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's got anything to do with anything, whether that's just a
Well,
spin-off toy, but
There was also a translated German comic about a new, like, prince or whatever.
It
Not
sounds a
Shining
lot
Armor.
like this could be canon. It sounds like when Hasbro makes a toy, they usually try to incorporate it into the show as well.
yeah.
Could very well be Shining Armor and Cadence's daughter.
This is what I was
that
thinking.
escalated quickly after a year. To
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a Philly. Doesn't mean like the Case kids. I mean, really, I don't know.
Well, we're not entirely sure how long after season 2, season 3 is going to take place.
True.
Yeah. And we're
Yeah, I
I'm
was-
kind of personally, I'm kind of hoping that they do kind of give some indication of how far on it's been. I think that'd be nice because then you
I mean,
have
like,
some sort of
The
idea.
entire span, because I mean, I think they mentioned in Lunar Eclipse that like Luna hadn't been back for a long time or something.
Yeah.
We could probably, in theory, count each episode as a week, since she said she'd send a letter every week.
This is true,
That might be an
actually.
interesting way to do that.
I mean, there's a lot of things where you kind of can't overanalyze it. For instance, the whole lunar eclipse thing, the whole idea of a Nightmare Night festival. If no one had even heard of Nightmare Moon before her return, how could there be a festival about it and no one
Yeah, I
knows?
was wondering
but-
that too.
Yeah, and Sakura mentioned it was like a tradition or something.
Yeah, and it's obviously been because
My question is, how does
does
Sakura even know that much about it?
Yeah, well, to be fair, she seems to know everything and she can rhyme, so I think that kind of that answers every question.
What do you
love
guys
that.
think about continuity between season 1 and season 2? Well, like, they'll introduce something and it'll stay common throughout the rest of the series.
Well,
Yeah, like Rainbow Dashing books.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
very impressed with the continuity in this show, actually. I mean, there are a few, like, things that they overlook, but most of the time, the continuity is really good. So that's something that will appear and it'll, like,
It's practically a timeline in itself.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
they put a lot of effort into that.
And progression of abilities also. I read this thing about people like getting angry because they just Twilight all the scene then was able to teleport whenever she wanted to. It was like just an everyday thing. And when she first did it, like in the first season, it was a really difficult thing that took everything out of her. And so they were complaining about that. But that's really a really good progression because you could see that it took less and less effort as the show went on. It just didn't directly address it.
That's the thing, because it's like a slice of life thing. Sorry, Lightning, I was just,
So talking more about progression, they have the Sonic Rain Boom, which was pretty much the hardest thing Rainbow Dash had ever done, and then
in the finale, she just suddenly
not be able to do it. She finally did it in order to stay rarity in the Sonic Rain Boom episode, but then they have the season finale, where not only is it done on command, but upward is
effortless.
Well, yeah, I think the thing about that is, like with the teleporting thing, the whole idea of progression, like people might moan about teleporting, like one day she can do it perfectly fine and the other day she can't, but like we were saying, that she could progress in skills, but...
Not to mention, during the episode, she said that she was so busy practicing, so she probably was practicing to a degree that she was able to perform it on command after training all day.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, like, just because it doesn't appear, like, the episodes are set in a kind of slice of life, like, snapshot of time style, so if she was bad at teleporting one day, she might not necessarily be bad the next episode, because it could have been a whole week that's passed, and she could have been practicing, so, you have to think about what might be going on off-screen in the kind of canon universe that is.
Right. I think that's why we kind of need an idea of, like, a time span, because the one thing that really got me from Season 1 was you have Episode 11, which is Winter Wrap-Up. You have Episode 12, which is the Call of the Cutie, and then you have Episode 13, which is Fall Weather Friends. It went from winter to fall within the course of 3 episodes.
Yeah. I mean,
then suddenly Arbor Day shows up.
I mean, to be fair, like we said, like Mytho said, it could be that the episode is every week in their time, because, the friendship reports are sent every week, but to be fair, it could be that several weeks have passed between each thing, because there's no real, judge of time, like Lightning was saying. It's gone from, winter to fall in a couple of weeks.
Now, speaking of winter, Hearthsworthing Eve, that explains how Equestria came into it. I mean, what about Celestia and Moon?
Not the princess.
I think we do definitely need some more history of Equestria episodes in Season 3.
Especially on how Nightmare Moon came to be,
Why don't move into that topic and discuss what we think we need to see in Season 3.
Alright.
Right. Well, if I could start off, and I'd like to say that one of the things I'd love to see is, like we were saying, the expansion on the history of the princesses, because the thing that always kind of got me was the fact that there are, snapshots back in time, when people are recalling what's happened, like with Granny Smith and things like that, and the princess appears, and in Hearthswarming Eve, she's not mentioned at all. So I kind of want to know where they came from and how that all started, if they expand.
How are they even alicorns in the first place? Where does that species of pony come from?
I mean, they say they were...
And if all of them are immortal.
Yeah, if they are even immortal at all, or whether they're just long-lived.
I have a theory about that immortality, but we can get into that later.
Yeah. I mean, particularly the thing with Discord, they said they saw how unhappy the population was with him in control, so obviously they came in after he was in control at some point, I imagine.
And he said he was gone for 1,500 years or something like that.
Yeah. I still find it weird I still find it weird they weren't mentioned in the Hearthswarming Eve at all. It just kind of overlooked them.
Then the Wendigos? We haven't even heard of Wendigos yet. And now they're just...
weird.
And they appeared also on the flag that's shown.
Yeah, that was
when they
the weird part is that the Equestria flag had the two Alicorn sisters before they had even made an appearance.
Yeah, it's all very curious.
I think some of the things that most people want in the next season, to put them really broadly, is they want more of the geography of the world, and they want more of the history of the world, and they want a little bit more of certain characters that they don't feel have been explained enough.
And then where's the borders between...
I also want to see... I think a lot of people want to see Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, or any of the Pegasus's parents, because we've seen
and family.
all the others.
We haven't seen Applejack's parents. We've seen his grandma, but
We haven't seen Scooter's parents either. We've seen the rest of the CMC's ones. But
oh,
not hers.
wait a sec.
Fantastic.
Okay, so
we have.
this is kind of weird. I saw this post on like Meanbase, I think, I can't remember. But someone had found a picture of like a description of like a cheerleader or something, and it said cheerleader loves to hang out with her little sister Scootaloo. I don't know what they're thinking.
That was G3. G3.
I was going to say.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I was going to say, was that a G3 episode? Because I think I remember seeing that, and it wasn't the thing I thought it was.
See, it's the thing about me, I'm never informed, right?
The only parents we've seen are Rarity and Sweetie Belle's parents, and a glimpse of Twilight's parents.
Yeah.
And we've seen Applejack's aunts and uncles, Aunt Orange and Uncle Orange. Yeah, and her grandma, who she's Granny Smith even when she's young, which is still one thing that nobody's explained. But anyway.
Well, I think it's because she's named after an apple.
Right.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, that might have been a coincidence that she's old and named after an old apple.
Let's just go with coincidence.
And apparently there's also cultural diversity in Equestria, because Apple Strudel, he was wearing hosen. I mean, seriously.
Where have you been? Sleeping.
AR.
Okay.
I have been busy napping.
So, okay, now AR has joined us. AR, just to tell you, we are now talking
You're
about...
still recording?
Yes, we're still recording.
Yeah, this is like our 4th try.
Yeah. And you've joined about 20 minutes in.
Season 3, Jeff.
And now, AR, we are talking about the episodes that we expect to see in Season 3. Like, what do you think are important?
Granny Smith.
Did you want
Which one were we on? We were talking about, Granny Smith. Oh no, we were talking about parents. We wanted to see, because we've seen the rest of the Apple family, in particular we were talking about, and we wanted to see parents of people.
We have seen Twilight's parents. We have seen Rarity's parents. Nobody else's relative.
We'll see Pinkie Pie's.
We've seen Pinkie Pie's.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Oh, we have, yeah, we've seen,
and her
Pinkie's as well.
Some more expansion on Fluttershy's lineage. Has a sister to Fluttershy would be interesting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true actually. I think if any of the main 6, it's definitely her that we kind of know least about, I would have said.
Well,
because she doesn't appear to have any family or anything.
Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash, I don't really know much about.
And Rainbow Dash, actually, yeah. There's very little backstory to them, and it would be nice to get a bit more. Let me think. Also, I know a lot of people are kind of excited to see Trixie in the 3rd season, maybe she'll make a return, and there's been a lot of kind of spoilers and things, I guess you could.
Is this where I get to talk about her?
I want to share this about Trixie right
now,
because I personally, I would like her to come back more as a protagonist as opposed to an antagonist. What are you?
Yeah, definitely. But that's where my theory comes from. I'm sure most of you know.
Quick run.
I'm sure most of you saw that spoiler image of her. With that like black necklace on her or something.
I have.
And as I looked closer, that necklace had the profile of an alicorn on it.
Ooh.
And it was a black alicorn with like a red jewel, red black fur. I may be country, but I'm not racist, okay?
I was being tricked. Never mind. Moving on.
Yeah.
Another thing I think... Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were there.
No, go on. I mean, so I don't know where to think about that, because, I mean, we know about that spoilered, confirmed, I don't know if he's confirmed or unconfirmed villain.
We'll get to that as well.
If I could just quickly make a note. On a question daily recently, there was a kind of, I guess it's like a fun kind of conspiracy theory thing, and I doubt there's any truth in it, but it was talking about the fact that
I saw that.
Yeah, the eyes, and the fact that they all have those little segment bits in them, except for Trixie and the Changelings, so they thought there was a link. But I doubt there's any truth in that. Might be. But
the thing that was very interesting that I saw was that there was kind of confirmation that John Delancey was coming back as Discord.
Oh yeah. That's going to be interesting.
I'd like that. Or it didn't say Discord. It would say he was back, but...
True.
To be fair, though, I don't think it would be right for him to be in a different role because he's kind of, if this is the right word, typecast as Discord now. I don't think it would be right if he came back as, say, a background character who
Well,
appears.
as much of a unique voice as John Delancey has, I think it'd be hard for us to see him as anything else other than Discord, and we would probably recognize his voice immediately if he had a different.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've got one
sure.
thing.
Me
I've
when
got
I
one thing-
talk.
I've got one thing to say about Trixie, and then I got something else to say. Like when you said Trixie coming back as a protagonist, I think that would be good because it would show the timeline and that things actually do progress, and that she has learned from the main six has affected her lifestyle and how she does things. She's actually learned something. And
The dogs do not agree.
then
Sorry.
it's fine.
It's not.
And I will let somebody else talk until I remember the second thing. A character that I think would be really cool to have some sort of story in the third season would be Derby would be good, but Starsworld the Bearded. I want more about that.
I was about to bring that up.
Character.
Yeah, it'd be nice
Joel?
to see more about him.
Well, yeah,
Take it away, Joe.
if we actually
go for it.
did a
Well-
history of Equestria episode, I think what would be really cool would be not only talking about the Alexan sisters and how they originated, but maybe a flashback with Discord in it and how they defeated Discord in the first place. Maybe add Starsworld the Bearded in there as well.
That'd be
Like a
amazing.
legit history lesson.
Can you imagine if they actually did a flashback of them actually defeating Discord as it happened, like a proper flashback? That would be amazing.
That would be cool.
That would be interesting.
Oh, that would be definitely good, yeah.
Audiobook I'm doing voices for Discord in Time, where it turns out the Doctor calls Luna and Celestia what the elements of harmony are with the cutie markers there, but I digress.
There's a bit of promotion there from Joel.
Speaking of promotion,
Selfless promotion.
Yeah, that's a complete off-topic thing there.
Dynamic Productions, that's all I'm saying.
I would like to actually make a note, something like, just following on from what a few people have said, the whole Trixie thing. I think, because I've never particularly liked people who are always kind of like, I guess the word I can think of is up themselves, and Trixie's kind of comes off as that, and she talks in the third person, which isn't great either. Personally, that's my opinion of her. I know some people absolutely love her for some reason. I think yes, Sophisto as a prime example.
But not that we mean anything bad to the most known Brony fan base
in the world. I would say that I'd like her to appear again, and if she did, it would be as a protagonist. I'd like her best because. Yeah, I think it would be nice to see someone like come around and change their ways because of events that happened in the past.
Really, I don't care if she's a good guy or a bad guy. Just lose the third person talking.
Well,
I don't think she's a guy.
Third person talk.
I was talking to a bunch of people who are bronies,
Sorry.
and I polled everyone and said that they would really like to see a body swapping episode with like some kind of magical spell goes wrong.
Oh yeah,
and they have to go through a day or two or
It'd
whatever.
be interesting, yeah.
Every series has to have something like that.
Mm.
I definitely think something just occurred to me. All of this going around, everybody's anticipating season 3. I think it's probably going to come up after season 3 is over. We're probably going to have some of the most fan-created content that we've ever had, just bouncing off of season 3's stuff. That's
I think so.
That's true.
Enough.
Just coming out with just the first 2 seasons is incredible.
Well, the third one's...
Fandom have so many very well-written fan fictions or animated fan videos on the internet, and
the art. There's some really good art out there.
The sheer number of projects that people are working on is just ridiculous. This
is absolutely incredible.
This absolutely immense following, and it just keeps on getting bigger. There are more people that keep on getting added to this. Season 3 is going to even increase it even more.
I think it's going to strengthen everything as a fan base because there's going to be, I think, a lot more fan input into the show. You know, they're going to incorporate fan ideas like they did in season 2, but more so because with the finale, obviously that was made after they started to pick up on the fan kind of what they liked and things like that, and the characters appear, like Lyra has a voice, Luna appears in the background, things like that. I don't know if that's actually what's going on, but yeah.
I don't think it's so much the incorporation of the fan ideas, and sorry I interrupted you, Joel, as the answering of questions fans have had. Like, they're not incorporating the specific ideas fans have had, because there are like millions of them, but they're just answering questions people have had rather than taking requests.
Yeah, not so much
lots of those
incorporating.
fan fictions, people are just trying to put in what they think happened, since there's really no canonized of a lot of things that have been unanswered. So.
Yeah, and I think they're going to. I hope that they're going to answer some fan questions with things like that, because there
It'll
are
ruin
questions.
but still.
It'll ruin all the fan fictions, yeah, but I think a canon version would be nice.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, don't, go ahead.
The second one that I got a lot of people saying that they think would be an awesome thing to see is a Scootaloo-centered episode without the Future Crusaders.
A lot of people
because
say
we've seen Apple Bloom's canon looked at and Sweetie Belle's canon looked at, and Scootaloo's basically just only there when it's all three of them.
Yeah, and she's a Pegasus that can't fly. I mean, Fluttershy, she's just scared of flying, but Scootaloo, she can only hover for like a short period.
Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash episode.
Yeah.
Rainbow Dash would be a good outlet for Scootaloo's story if they ever wanted to tell it.
Yeah.
Or some sort of Pegasus.
They could do not only a Rainbow Dash backstory, but a Scootaloo backstory at the same time in the same episode. Especially if they could tell anything about Rainbow Dash relating to Scootaloo somehow. Not family relations, but being able to relate to her situation.
Yeah.
Also, wasn't it mentioned by, as Lauren Faust said, that she was designed originally, and I don't know if she still is or not to actually be able to fly. She was supposed to be flightless.
Lauren Faust's original idea was to have Scootaloo be almost like crippled and not be able to fly.
Yeah.
Not crippled enough to be offensive, you know? Because, I mean, they've learned from the Durfee thing.
To be fair, though, I don't think that including things like that is offensive as such. It's just how people take it. They always seem to take it offensively, but it's not really designed that way. It should be... If anything, it's more offensive that they singled that one character out because of that. That they were, like,
it's only offensive if you make it offensive.
Yeah, I mean, nobody on the fandom I know wanted Derby to be offensive. They just, that's how it was canonized in their heads, pretty much.
I think, and Mytho, like exactly what you said, but something's only as offensive as people make it out to be, because it shouldn't be offensive to have a character like that in the show, but...
And it's not like she's actually retarded, she just could have lazy eyes.
Yeah, well, it's not supposed to, like, make it...
It's like Patrick from SpongeBob. He talks like a complete moron, but we don't say he's mentally retarded.
Yeah,
some people do, but...
Anyway, we digress, because that's not what this conversation's about. But,
going on.
Yes. What were we talking about again? Ooh.
I also think a Thesia-centered episode would do well. Like one where we
just...
Oh.
the Royal Sisters episode.
Just nice.
I mean,
the
you know, celebrity... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, there's been several fanfics that have been out there talking about how the Royal Sisters interact with one another, and I'd like to see a show interpretation of the Royal Sisters being together. Maybe, like...
Two best sisters.
Maybe reflect on the Nightmare Moon thing or something.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
There's a really good comic out there about that. It's really, really nice.
I think I know the one you're talking about, actually. But yeah, I that is actually one of the things that I've wanted almost from day one, was the whole idea of having an episode centered around them. I know that it's been said before by some of the creators that obviously the show is centered around the main 6 characters, but I think it would be great to have the Raw Sisters as a kind of story that they incorporated in. I think it would be very interesting.
See how their family ties has like been mended or broken. Just like, I mean, you're pretty much banishing your sister to the moon when she, after like I don't know, like evil spell or something. That's how I interpreted the Nightmare Moon transformation. But
now,
you can't.
Let's talk about 2 things that have been semi-confirmed as well. One of them was a possible appearance from Octavia as a voice character.
Oh, yeah.
That
That's
background
cool.
square, I remember that.
Now
Well,
that,
first off, there go the vinyl scratch tapes.
well, well,
If that even
See,
happens.
That's not
I think-
necessarily true. I mean,
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
She
thinking,
did, she gave an example of what the voice would probably sound like if it was going to happen, and it sounded pretty close.
yeah, it was
She
a
did?
proper.
Yeah, and the panel.
I didn't hear any of that.
It was a panel that somebody here on Skype linked to us.
yeah, they hinted
a while
at Trixie's return, they hinted at Luna's return, but yeah, I think personally, in like my opinion, I think it would be great to have a sort of duet between the two, because that's kind of bringing a background character forwards into actually having lines and everything, and that
That's also
particular character's only appeared once as well. Sorry, Regan.
Also, she's
Yeah.
also a pretty fan favorite. I mean, they did have a return of Vinyl Scratch. That was really cool. Again, it wasn't voiced.
They canonized her eyes.
Yeah. They canonized her eyes, and they made a return in the finale episode. So I'd really like to see Octavia make another return as well. And if they did end up, and the thing I found that was odd was that it was Kathy Westlock was the one that provided the voice at the panel that said, yeah, this is probably what it sound like. So I'm almost thinking that Kathy Westlock is
Mel, in my chair.
in the show.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would definitely be interesting, like I said, to have that in there. Because, I mean, yeah, she has only appeared twice, and I think in a way that is kind of the creators of the whole thing, kind of doing a tip of the hat to the fans by adding that
Technically,
in.
they're fans themselves when you think about it.
Well, technically, yeah. But I think
It's run by fans. Sorry.
Well, I think, sorry, that's alright. But in terms of, like, we were saying, do they or don't they, like, incorporate things that the fans like? I think in that respect they do, because the character only appeared twice, and people have said, like, you can see from the vinyl scratch tapes, things like that the character's popular. So they've said, well, I'm guessing they might have said something along the lines of, well, that character's popular, so let's, like, incorporate them into the episodes more.
Yeah, that was with Lyra and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She actually gets lines and everything, so.
Brings up a good, interesting psychological point on that is, the fans want specific things. Like, they notice things, and they want answers to specific things they'd really like to see. But then you realize again that the show's creators are in fact fans of the show, whether it be the old one or this one also, since they're making it. And they probably want exactly the same things, and which is why we're being so well represented.
But you also got to keep in mind that the intended audience is little girls, so...
Yeah,
Well,
but
I mean,
you know, they've got the same
yeah, they're
mindset
breaking
as
that
us.
border a little more, but still, I have noticed that they're trying their best.
They're
to
doing
keep that.
it gracefully.
I'd say that
Yeah.
the absolute kind of intended audience is younger people, but as the creator of the show said herself, that it was really, like, in her mind, intended to be for the whole family sort of thing, you know, so
Right.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean,
everyone can watch it.
I mean, my
I've
whole
heard a
family
lot
used to sit
People
down
say
and
they
watch
want
the
to
show.
see serious lessons in it, and since it's made for a younger audience, intended for that, I don't know if that would
Some
work.
of them are
Yeah,
very
but-
serious lessons, though.
Well, I mean, like, I heard one guy who had a podcast, I forget who, said
It's
he
not
wanted
Latin.
a death or terminal illness.
I remember that, yeah. Someone said they wanted a lesson about, you know, moving on with, like, grieving if someone had died, and I was thinking, well,
But there was a death.
That is-
I mean, it just wasn't less.
There was the funeral.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
We didn't know reenacted.
That
that
was
was
The
one
funeral
thing.
in the middle of a Valentine's Day song. I mean,
That, I don't think we're counting that. It did
Yeah, we're
canonise
not.
the fact, it did canonise the fact that they do die, which I guess is good because it kind of brings some sense of mortality to it, but, if I could
Wait,
just...
what was? Sorry,
Sorry, what
I just want to. Where was this funeral? I didn't.
It was
I
in
don't think I've
the
seen
Doomsday
it.
song.
It was in
Stallion
the
song.
Perfect Stallion song.
Yeah.
Which part of it was it?
When she goes, this one's too old. Because he goes up to
they had
the
a
vicar or
casket,
the priest.
had a
Yeah, but
candles,
he's giving a funeral service.
they had
Yeah.
a fuel.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I'm fairly
I
certain I
remember
saw a religious book of some sort in
Yeah.
there.
I
Book with a
like,
red
He,
bookmark.
okay.
Okay.
He was wearing like a
yeah.
towel.
I was just going to say, if I could, like, kind of elaborate on what I was going to say, which I've forgotten what it was. Yeah, no, that was it. The whole, like, serious lessons about death things that there are, actually, if you listen to the kind of moral of the story, I guess you call it, there are some quite serious lessons, like, don't get worked up about things that are in the future, things like that are actually quite relevant, and share and whatever like that. They're particularly relevant for younger people who need to learn good life lessons. But
Yeah,
we've all seen Diamonds and Tiaras.
I agree with that, but as far as death or terminal disease goes, I don't know if Hub would do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The only inkling of a reference they've given to that is what some people call, I guess, the cancer pony in the reading of the Rainbow Dash book episode, where it was like freaking out because she was under his bed trying to read a book.
Yeah,
head shaved.
They have that guy.
To steal my slippers.
Well, the funny thing from that I noticed, it was 16, 17, and 18. It was Read It and Weep, Hearts and Hooves Day, and what was the Cranky Doodle Donkey episode called again?
Friend Indeed.
Yeah, Friend Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
You had the Cancer Pony in episode 16. You had a funeral in episode 18, and you had an open house in episode 18.
Where was the open house?
Whatever.
In the middle of nowhere, pretty much, but still.
The house that he moved into.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So
That's an interesting theory.
But that's what I'm saying, is that I don't think, because the Hub and the creators of the show are kind of tied. All I'm saying is that the creators of the show are kind of tied down to the fact that, like, primarily it is for younger audiences, and if you want to keep it for the whole family, you need to make sure you include younger audiences and things like that. So, you can't have things about death really on a kid's channel, because,
And then,
like Pixar and Disney, you can have the adult references, but you still need to keep entertaining for kids and not have it so dramatic and over the top.
Yeah, but Simba's dad died.
and the beginning of Up, like, dear Lord, that was tear-jerking. I mean, it was.
But then it got hilarious afterwards.
It was a great movie, but it was still that overall tone of sadness, like the old man losing his opportunities and whatnot. And
if you're going to do it, it needs to be done well, and I think it also needs to be done slightly discreetly, so that if you're going to have it as kind of directed at older audiences, like Death, something like that, it needs to be so discreet that the kids won't pick it up, or if they do pick it up, it's like the episode where Rainbow Dash hurts herself. It's not shown. So if you have the death happen off screen, it's just mentioned and referenced to, and that's why everyone's sad, that's better than it actually happening. Like, you wouldn't have it say they were actually in the room and the person dies right there in front of them. That wouldn't happen.
So maybe,
and of course,
like we said, we haven't seen Rainbow Dash's, Fluttershy's, or Applejack's parents. What if one of their parents died?
Yeah.
Well, then that sucks.
Or divorce.
I don't think they could ever directly address that. Or
they have to make
the
very
death
discreet.
of a parent. I don't think they could actually do the death of a parent, or even directly address a divorce. Like in Phineas and Ferb, they do that very well, in the fact that their two parents are from completely different parts of the world. The father is British and the mother is American, and their stepbrother, they didn't divorce at all, except sometimes. But
that's the thing. Like, if you're going to handle something like divorce, or particularly death of the parents, you'd have to do it very carefully, because you couldn't just have AJ come out and say, yeah, my parents are dead. You'd have to do it very carefully.
Oh, by the way, my parents are dead. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if someone asks, they wouldn't just say, my parents are dead,
y'all.
Exactly. You couldn't do that. You'd have to say something like, well, I don't know how you'd do it, actually.
You'd have to take a wide berth around it, and kind of, you have to rather than answer the question, just imply the answer.
Yeah, you'd have to say, I don't want to talk about it, and then go around it and very slowly get to it, and even then, not actually say it, but imply it, so that,
Yeah,
idea. It'd have to take a whole episode.
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
You couldn't, rush it. You couldn't say, oh, by the way, AG, what happened to your parents? Oh, yeah, they're dead. Moving on. You have to, take it delicately.
Yeah, but also, I think they should incorporate more two-parters or even possibly three-parter episodes, not just in opening and finale episodes. That's what I think they should do.
Well,
maybe story arcs.
Just
in story for the entire season. I like what they did with season 1, where they had the Ticketmaster episode at the very beginning, and then finally the Grand Galloping Gala at the end of the season. So they had that overarching story through the entire season.
Yeah.
I'd call that both continuity and a slight story arc. Although it wasn't mentioned in the other episodes, you did see the link.
I'm talking about a story where you have to watch the next episode and find out what happens.
And there's always the possibility, if there's more than a one-part episode, that woman who interviewed all the ponies will come back during commercial breaks. And That
you wouldn't
might be
like that
awful.
bit, though? Okay.
I don't think I'd like that, no.
I was going to say, I don't think that would happen. I would say, though, that story arc-wise, I would like it, for instance, this is my kind of speculation here. There's going to be a DVD set release called, what is it, Adventures in the Crystal Kingdom or Empire.
Yeah, and on there, it's also saying that there's the humorous adventures throughout the Crystal Empire or Kingdom, whichever they're calling it. I don't remember right now, but it seems like that this season's going to be more based around those areas. We're not going to get a lot of story from Ponyville in a sense, to me.
That would be interesting.
We do have an entirely new species coming in.
Here's the idea about the Crystal Empire is that they just recently released the cover art for the box. It said Adventures in the Crystal Empire, and it actually have you guys seen the picture of it?
I think
Yes.
you could describe it in
It had Aiden's in the very middle, and she was all sparkly. Mm-hmm. And then it had the main six surrounding her, and if you looked at it, the main six all had different hairstyles.
Right.
And
Rainbow Dash didn't even have red in her hair, it was pink. So I was a bit upset.
Almost all main six had pink in their hair as well. That was kind of interesting.
Except for Applejack.
Well,
someone linked me to this possibly.
I see it now.
But something occurred to me that's interesting. What if the whole of season 3 starts out with Celestia sending the main six off on some sort of journey in some way? And that would open up the whole geographic world and everything, and they could go around, there's no problems in Ponyville right now, but they can go out and kind of wander around with some sort of goal, but they stop around in different places.
I imagine about the whole the song that they
the failure song.
The failure song.
I mean, Twilight. It's hinted that she's doing the final exam or whatever for school or whatever.
Oh, so she could be going out to redeem herself, and her friends come along with her.
Yeah, I mean, it was she wasn't prepared for this. That also hints at something happened.
Can I just quickly go back to the Crystal Empire thing, talking about the DVD and everything? I think or my personal kind of take on it was that, because, obviously this season's slightly shorter, I was thinking maybe after Twilight passes or whatever happens with her final exam, maybe she, the rest of the thing, is just one long story arc of them being in the Crystal Kingdom and having adventures there, and that's maybe why the season is shorter. I know that could be completely
at least covering the entire area, because doing a full season with that would be different.
Well, I thought that's why it might be shorter, because it was going to be that. And also, just going back to what Mytho said, about the whole Princess Celestia sending her to do whatever around to get a more geographical kind of presence. I was thinking maybe Cadence called for Twilight personally because in the song she's saying that Cadence needs their help.
Her magic will not last forever.
Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense.
And that also makes an interesting thing. Magic not lasting forever. I know. I mean, she's an alicorn, and Shining Armor's a unicorn. I understand Shining Armor starting to get migraines during that whole protection bubble, but an alicorn? That's interesting.
You wouldn't have thought so. Incidentally, also, the fact that we haven't seen the crystal ponies yet, and it'd be interesting to see them.
I think we might just... probably not, I wouldn't think. Although that might explain why she sparkles.
But still, if she has a monarchy over entire empire, why is she getting married in Russia or something? Why haven't we heard about that? I know that they just introduced something, but I think you guys know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I do see what you're doing. I think one of the reasons they probably introduced the whole Crystal Kingdom is because, I think I read this somewhere, that it's nice because this character basically showed up from nowhere, and people were saying, well, we want some sort of what does she do? Because one raises the sun, one raises the moon, and then there's this third one that does nothing except love. And they were saying, it's actually good that they've introduced her as the ruler of this empire, because it gives her some sort of solid canonicity. That's even a word.
Canonicity.
I just looked up Crystal Kingdom cover art to show Lightning and Lightning Rabbit, and there's a Dora the Explorer thing. Dora the Explorer in the Crystal Kingdom.
Oh.
So that doesn't surprise me.
Well, either way, I already linked it.
Weird.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Where's the Red Rainbow Dash's name?
I will not look at the cover art just yet, because hosting the call is terrible on my internet at this time of day, so
Okay.
I will stay in Skype.
So nobody even click on that link.
I will.
I already did.
Yeah. Anyway,
darn you, AR.
So yes, I think it would be interesting, like for many different reasons, to see season 3, but particularly characters and story development, geographical things, and just finding out about the Crystal Empire would probably be my main things.
I want to know what Delta thinks about this.
Delta.
Why? Because I haven't said anything?
Yes, you haven't said a single thing, actually.
Roger that.
I did right at the start. Remember when I was talking about our many, many failed attempts at this?
Yes, you did say one thing.
Yeah, I remember. If it was missed, this had not been failing so much.
Give your opinion on
seriously,
something.
you would have definitely missed.
Yes, I was going to say, would you
I missed.
care to give your opinion, or?
No, I think I'm good. You covered everything I was going to go over. Well, what
Give
is
your opinion
your
on something.
general idea of what you expect for season 3? How do you look forward to it, and what is your basic idea for it? It depends. Do you mean what I expect from it, or what I would like to see from it?
Yes.
Fine line between the two. What do you expect? Both.
Yeah.
What do you expect
both one after
both
another?
at the same time?
Why not?
No. Just take one after another.
There.
Alright,
What do you want?
So what are your expectations for the new season?
characters.
What are my
maybe.
expectations? Even though somebody just asked what I want, that's still two different ones. But
Mm.
what I expect from season 3 would be character development for characters that haven't had a lot of development thus far. Luna, maybe a little Celestia. Obviously, the new characters that got introduced at the end, etc.
Braveheart.
No.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that was the one time I
We'll
would
know
think, maybe
what
not,
happens
but
to him
I don't
after
know.
that episode.
Lucia.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he was a one-shot sort of character. I don't think he'll appear again.
Why
Yeah,
don't you try? I'm
gonna have to
country.
be fighting on that one.
Mm.
I mean, what about the buffalo in general?
They might
Buffalo.
appear again. Actually, that's the point. It would be interesting to see them again, maybe.
I don't think they'll come back because I think they were like a one-time deal.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're going around the rest of the kind of world geographically
Yeah, but
again, they
remember,
might.
I think
come
that was
back.
their races fighting.
Yeah, but that still leaves unanswered questions like what happens to Appaloosa and stuff like that.
It's possible. I don't know whether they would or not.
See, I have my fingers crossed for that, just because
Mm.
I'm country, so...
Mm. Yeah.
Well, Delta's country. Texas. Everybody thinks I got the accent just because I live in Texas. I don't think you have the. I know Texans don't have the over stereotypical accent, but anyways.
I'm from Texas, but I didn't get an accent until later on, so...
You didn't get an accent until they started listening to Red Rosetta Stone.
Accents aside.
Anyways.
What are you talking about?
Alright, that's it.
That is not how we sound. Like,
That is not...
not even close.
I don't even sound like that.
It's a stereotype.
I don't even think people from like Alabama or
Yes, I was going to
Louisiana.
say, accents aside, because everyone knows the English one is nice and
Accents and
unique here.
accidents.
Hey!
Anyway,
Delta, what do
an
you want from season 3? What do you want from season 3? Yes. Would like a little bit more expansion on the entire quote-unquote world map, since I can't think of a better thing to say, and since I'm a gamer nut, that's what we always call it, is world maps.
yes.
Besides that, backstory, of course, we've already gone over that. Let's see. Already said character development for characters that haven't had much development at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's kind of expected of everyone.
What about return of characters? Is there anyone in particular you personally would like to see?
There's people that we're almost positive, if not positive, that I don't mind returning. I don't mind Trixie returning. I mean, once again, that's going to be kind of how it pans out. I could either love it, hate it, either way.
Yeah.
For characters I'd like to see return, is to please the British people out there, obviously Pip, once again.
Yay.
There's characters I'd like to have more speaking parts, Lyra, for example. But as for returns and not background characters, not much. I don't know. The Cakes, maybe a little backstory on them. I don't know.
Luna, maybe? That would appease one British
Luna,
person in the
definitely.
call. Okay, that's good.
The
Yeah.
only British person is called.
Luna is best pony in my opinion.
I would
Okay.
second that opinion.
Alright, let's not start the best pony fight. I know that we all tend to
I
do
third
that.
the opinion.
It's an opinion, so it's all good.
Okay. The motion
Big
has been
man.
carried. Lightning, ask another question, quick.
Let's go with another thing that's been.
Can I fourth the motion as well?
No.
There was a slight slip up at the Comic-Con where Tabitha St. Germain
Oh, the Fluttershy dragon
mentioned
incident.
something about Fluttershy becoming a dragon.
That would be awesome.
I want to
Now-
know what you guys think about that.
Right, well,
Alright, guys.
Well, I stated my
circle time.
opinion.
We'll go from.
I saw that live. and I immediately recognized it, and it was hilarious to see everybody's reaction, because everybody was talking in the crowd, and all of a sudden everybody went silent. It was hilarious.
Well, and it's funny.
And I could tell
very well. They kind of just they realized what happened, and then they just kind of quickly changed the subject real quick, and didn't really focus on it.
If you look at it, the reaction in them is the lack of reaction, because they're trained for this.
In fact, I would say that's almost
it's also
pretty
funny
much...
because the voice actors for Fluttershy.
No, sorry, go ahead.
But it was funny because the voice actors for Fluttershy said, "Oh, I like that one too." Because you were talking about which episode, and so she's like, "Oh, I like that one."
Well, the fact that two of them pretty much confirmed it shows that it's definitely probably going to happen. But because that could go either way. There's no backstory or context as to why that happened.
We don't even know how dragons actually even...
It makes sense, because Fluttershy's afraid of dragons, and...
Yeah, well, I mean...
She's afraid of a lot of things, but dragons in particular. So, like,
I was going to say...
There's definitely a lot to... There's definitely, like, a million different ways that episode could go and work well.
There's a lot of potential for it, and it was just the way you said, like, she's afraid of dragons. But, yeah, saying Fluttershy's afraid of dragons, she's afraid of everything, so that's... Yeah.
But, wait, referring back to somebody said something about a body swap episode.
Yeah.
Just previous stuff about that, and now this. Magical accidents occur a lot, apparently. So, like the poison joke, and then this. That could all indicate that a body swap episode is pretty possible.
Yeah.
But these are blue, I'm not a joke.
Well, here's the thing: when you think of a concept of an episode, you've got to think about the main idea of the show. There's got to be a lesson learned at some point in time as well.
Well, for a body swap,
don't screw it with magic.
They'll. I think the lesson would be not to
appreciate each other.
Yeah, to appreciate
someone else
one's way of life.
Always practice what you do and take what you do.
What was it? I'm sure there was a show that had an episode where it was, I don't know what it was now, but it was like, I think where like the people made a wish, and it was, I wish you could see things from my point of view.
Well, and they wish body swap episode.
Yeah, and they wish that.
I know there's like so many shows.
Friday.
I was going to say, now I'm not saying use that as a basis for the episode, but,
what else? There's a lot of shows that had that. Game Possible had them.
Every single show that's ever been made almost has had something like that. It's like one of the...
Avatar Last Airbender didn't have that.
Okay, well, that was more of a storyline. I mean, like, episode by episode, different stories in each episode kind of shows. They always have something like that.
I was going to say, because like I was saying, like, if they want to, like, if they don't want to be cliche about it, I'm not saying use that exact thing as a basis, but I'm sure they could find a way if they were going to incorporate an episode like that into the show.
I mean, they might not do it just because it's been done so much, and they're doing like things that aren't usually done in cartoons. So maybe just let them keep that up. That'd be great.
Back to slapstick comedy, pretty much.
Well, yeah, they always gotta keep that. That's part of what makes the show awesome.
It is, yeah. Anyway, Lightning.
Another thing that a lot of people are looking for is like, I want to see more Tank.
Yes, definitely.
The pets. Yes, the pets. I don't know.
I mean,
I just don't like Angel.
The Earth.
I mean, the way I see it is that it was used as a device to develop Rainbow Dash's character a bit more, but it would be nice to see them again. I don't think that the pet thing should be a one-shot thing and then it never be referenced again.
They might do that for like the younger audience, but...
You got Gummy and Pinkie Pie, and, I mean, you see Gummy with Pinkie Pie all the time,
Yeah.
Same thing.
Because Gummy's hilarious.
You see Angel quite a lot.
Opalescence and Rarity, you see those two together all the time as well. It would make more sense if you could see Tank with Rainbow Dash every once in a while, because...
you don't see Aloysius all that much.
He does appear.
He's there.
I would say, actually, the thing about Rainbow is that we, like, unlike Twilight, Rarity, people like that, we don't really see her house much. Because, like, normally when you see their pets, they're with them round the house, and for some reason, particularly Rainbow Dash, we don't actually see anything like... In episodes, we don't see her house. We're more likely to go to someone else's house where all the things are happening.
Yeah, she's usually out doing something rather than planning something to do around the house. She's more active outside.
We've actually only seen the outside of her house.
Well, does Rarity live where she works?
Yep.
Actually, we saw the inside once in the reading episode, I think it was.
I was about to reference that,
Yeah.
All right.
I think that was the only time, so...
And another thing that would be questionable is how would he stay in the clouds? Because
he's got that helicopter thing.
I know, but
he had that flying machine thing.
I don't think you could have that thing on all the time. I think you'd have to find a more permanent way of, I mean, it would be possible, like maybe Fluttershy's like taking care of.
Maybe he actually died and fell through the clouds.
Well, then again, that brings it back to the same point as like you can't have dying. Yeah.
I mean,
no, we weren't here when we did that.
Maybe he probably lives on the ground.
Maybe he actually ran away.
Or just slowly walked away.
I was going to say, under what circumstances could he run away?
One time, my turtle ran away! He's a tortoise, Rainbow Dash. He ran away! Anyway, I found a picture of Crackle. Crackle's hilarious.
Oh, that's the character I want to see in Season 3, Crackle.
Crackle.
Yeah. Think about the dragons more. They haven't, that was the only time we ever saw other talking dragons.
That's a really good point, actually. I'd like to know.
That's the other time.
More.
I mean, those guys were just. I mean, they were like teenagers, so bound. I mean, speaking as a teenager myself, they're bound to get into trouble a lot. But I mean, we don't have a definition of like dragons as a whole actually act like.
The Dragon Quest episode, I was actually disappointed with because they could have did that two ways, and I think they chose the worst way out of the two. I would have preferred much more of a Spike backstory in that episode as opposed to what he did, actually.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice to get a Spike backstory.
It was more of a finding yourself story instead.
I'd like to actually point out that they didn't even get any adult dragons to talk, so, it would be a bit like...
We've only had...
The one.
One or two. Did the green one talk?
Yeah, the green one talked, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we only had, like, 2 adult dragons actually speak.
On the Dragon Quest episode, though, I just remembered there was the phoenix, the little phoenix baby.
Dragon
I would like to see more of that.
Pee-wee. That was
Pee-wee, yeah.
Yeah, I find it strange he wasn't mentioned again, because,
Dragon Quest was kind of later in the season, so...
That is true, yeah, but you would have thought they would have incorporated... Well, I'm sure he'll appear in Season 3, I would have thought.
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah, they keep continuity up.
Phoenixes keep appearing in the show. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's the weird thing, though, because, I mean, speaking back to dragons, we know that dragons, grow bodily with their greed, but those... dragons in the Dragon Quest episode, or whatever the episode was, they completely altered the way dragons grew by the way they were talking about stuff. Because, I mean, they didn't grow greed, even though they stole stuff. I mean...
Well, they were all kind of nasty in a way. Like,
they were stuff for the anxious.
And maybe they just stay small if they're not greedy or something.
Spike never actually, grew wings either.
Yeah,
he never had wings.
He was malformed compared to other adult dragons.
I would assume that they grow wings later on.
And Spike
they grew into one of 2 ways. Either regrow for actually shedding their skin and then growing.
That's what I was thinking. Is it possible that there's natural growing and then there's the kind of abnormal, unnatural growing where they grow with greed and they don't grow properly because of that?
Spike, when he grew, he looked completely different. And
he inhabited a day too, so
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because the circumstances, the dragons don't have birthdays and they don't get all this stuff and go crazy. They have to slowly accumulate it since they live out in the wild or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
what is the wild in Equestria anyway?
I was going to say a lot of it.
Never free forest.
Forest.
That's about it. Yeah, like you said, there was that world map that came out, and I think it would be nice if they visited some of the places on that,
Palooza.
I think it'd be nice if they at least visited Trottingham, the Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because they've mentioned Manhattan several times.
Manhattan's actually been seen in the flashback with, I think it was all of the
but it was for a brief, 10 minutes. Not true. It
was about a few minutes, 5 maybe at the most. Yeah, it'd be nice to see the places in depth more, just so we could get a sense of what they looked like. Would be nice. Also, I think, as a point, actually, technology, because obviously it was less at the beginning, and it came up with, they had projectors with old movie things.
Yeah, that's pretty inconsistent.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, will the technology advance more?
My Little Pony is steampunk.
Logic is probably the answer.
No, it's just technology through the centuries, pretty much.
Yeah.
They've combined every single piece of technology. They just don't throw anything out, apparently.
The trains have gone from being pulled by horses to actually trains powered by steam now, which is quite nice. I don't know what they were thinking that first time. Carrying the
Maybe they're looking at the turn of the century.
Well, the fact they were carrying the locomotive round as
Wait,
well.
no, hold on
had
now.
extra weight.
Hold on now. That, in the Granny Smith episode, that train was steam powered. The Granny Smith episode in the flashback, that was steam powered.
Yeah.
Maybe the train broke down in the Appaloosa episode and they just they had to pull it because it was broken.
See, that's another thing. Maybe they've always been with technology advanced or something. They just use different things.
I'm actually quite interested to know. Sorry, but I'm quite interested to know on the side note, how long until we get, like, Virgin, like, electric trains, you know, Richard Branson in Ponyville?
How long until we see a telephone? I mean...
Are we going to get Virgin Galactic in Ponyville? Like, I want to know what the progression of technology is here. Like an A-bus A380 coming and landing in, like...
Well, obviously, cars are magic-powered, or whatever the heck that twinkling thing was.
I'm a Mac, and I'm a unicorn.
Yes.
Yup.
So, you know, I think...
Macintosh.
Yes, I remember seeing a picture which is, like, it's Mac and Celestia, and it says, I'm a Mac and I'm a PC because her initials.
Yeah. I get it. Alright, so let's...
Something, if it were more consistent in Season 3, it'd be something I'd like to see. I know it's not as focused on.
Let's move on to the fact that people are speculating that this could possibly be the last season of the show. If it is indeed the last season of the show, what do you want to have resolved before the end?
Everything!
It would be nice
if they... That's a tough question.
It's a very tough question, and I'd like to, kind of say, with Slumpy's thing, he's actually quite right, because it wouldn't be right, in my opinion, to leave such a...
war of who's right in their own capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already come up with answers to almost everything, but we want, canon answers.
What happened?
If it is indeed the last season, the one thing that I really want to see is what the Cutie Mark Crusaders cutie marks are.
Yes, definitely. That's something I'd really like to see if they're going to end it. Although I would mention...
I noticed that Pipsqueak doesn't have a cutie mark, or does he? I don't think he does.
I don't think he does, no. Sorry, Mister, were you going to say something? I kind of cut you off there.
Oh, no, I'm just agreeing with everybody right now.
Oh, okay. I would like to mention then that I believe there was some sort of poem thingy that was written, and I know Lightning, you know about this as well, which is the thing, I can't remember who it was by, it was the director or something wrote a poem saying that some seasons will be shorter than others for special reasons, something like that. So I'm guessing there will be another season.
Yeah, I don't personally believe that this is going to be the last season, but I do think that...
It's always a possibility that something's going to happen.
Right.
You know, Hasbro is a company, and it does... if anything happens to the money flow...
Oh, it's been so successful so far. I don't think it's possible.
But, they canceled other really good series that could have been a lot more. That's happened in the past.
The fandom has to keep growing in order for it to continuously be making more episodes.
Yeah.
So as long as bronies exist and still become as active as they are now, and right now I see them getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
And I think season 3 is going to emphasize that even more, that the fan base is just going to grow stronger from that.
And more visual stuff from the actual show, the more bronies have stuff to work with. And sorry,
keep going.
Just saying that as long as the bronies continue making glorious things to do, as long as they still buy stuff, and we all know from experience that bronies will fun.
You're fading in.
Yeah, you need to hold the microphone or something.
Kick the microphone.
Well,
I would just like to quickly say then. Oh, sorry, you go ahead, Mr.
If in fact this ever did end, which I hope it doesn't, it's obviously going to end at some point, but not soon.
All good things must.
I would like to think that the rest of the entertainment companies would take a note from this, and we would possibly, even when it ended, get more of this type of show. Because that would be just as good. It would influence other things, but, that's probably not going to happen.
That's the sad thing. Hasbro was hoping bronies would start watching Care Bears.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly, I know a few people who will probably go there if My Little
The
Pony
thing is,
ends.
I would mention though that the fan base actually, you've seen some of the animated works that have been going on even now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's entirely possible that if there aren't any more episodes being made, they'd make their own.
Yeah, but of course they'd have to get permission, because, I mean...
Well, I mean, if it's non-profit, they wouldn't have to.
You got a good point there, because the people who are making the show now have been inspired by the previous shows. And that show got canceled a while ago, and then they brought it back.
Yeah.
So that could happen again and again and again.
Yeah.
That could just keep spitballing like that. We could have Gen 5. If Gen 4 ended, we could have Gen 5. Like
of course, it would probably
10 to 20 years after that.
Yeah, and
no, because people have been inspired by Lauren Faust. They know how she did it. You respect how she did it.
I think Gen 4 has also set the bar. It's like raised the standard and set the bar. So if they've made a Gen 5, it would have to be like as good or better than Gen 4. You couldn't go back to, say, Gen 3 or something like that. Or
no more Gen 3.
Or Newborn Cuties.
No, don't even mention
weird
it. No.
thing about
also known as the Abomination.
The weird thing about My Little Pony is this is the first time in all cartoons that we've seen this happen, where the fan base is...
I blame the internet.
Yeah.
Well, it is technically, like, it helps somehow this grow.
It helps this show that make itself known. Like, I don't know if I'm not really sure if any other cartoon would be as successful, or it could have been even more successful if the fan base was as big as My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Because My Little Pony is surviving solely on Brody. And
it speaks to the creative community.
Yeah, and I'd like to quickly take a point that Joel and Mytho, you both made, which was one, good shows have been cancelled before that have a big following, and also the fact that nothing has ever happened like this before, because I think one of the reasons they won't cancel it for a long time to come, like they might have done with other popular shows, is because there's nothing quite like this fan base. There's never been anything like this really before, this kind of massive, this scale that's so creative and productive, you know. I mean, it's happened before with other things, but nothing this massive, I wouldn't have said.
Their views, the Hub's views would be so much more declined if it weren't for My Little Pony, because now you've got, adults, 20 to 40 watching the Hub.
But you also got the adults 20 to 40 watching, G.I. Joe and Transformers, but it's not as...
It's not as
big. It's there, but it's just not as big.
Yeah.
I really hope the Hub realizes that we're not dedicated to... Hasbro. We're not dedicated to Hasbro. We're dedicated to the show and how it's made. We're not dedicated... it doesn't mean we like everything Hasbro makes. It means we like this specifically and the people who make it.
Yeah, and I would say, personally...
the Care Bears.
Don't get us wrong, we like Hasbro for what they're doing, but, not Care Bears. We like them for what they're making in this show, and if something else they make is good, then we might watch that as well, but mainly we're there for that, and not the Care Bears.
Someone has to take the initiative.
The voice actors, the writers who make these...
If they made some of the voices in some of the other shows less harsh, that would probably help them a lot. Because that's where a lot of kids' shows have those really high-pitched, squeaky, sometimes you just want to just close your ears voices, like Care Bears like that. They all talk like that. They're not saying hugs and kisses, but it sounds like they should be.
Yeah. I'd like to make a note, actually, that there's something about this show in particular which is completely different to other cartoons, and it's difficult for me personally to put my finger on, but it's just the fact that it's not it's almost like other cartoons talk down to the viewers because they know it's for younger children. This doesn't do that.
This doesn't dumb it down because it's for little kids.
Exactly.
It keeps its audience like Animaniacs did, where Animaniacs didn't play down because it was for children. It was for all audiences, be they young or older.
Yeah.
And
example.
So it's actually... Sorry. I get what you're saying. So basically it's... When you think of family shows, this one is the literal family show. It is for everybody. When you see family show, you usually think, oh, it's for little kids. But this is a family show. Like, anybody in the family can enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Rather than just it's a family because
show that is perfect, and it works on any age level if you go past the fact that it's
if you give it your time.
History of my
I've tried, but I mean, my sister, she gave it a try. She didn't like it. She's
it's not for everyone.
That's fine.
I mean, I showed my dad the Discord chocolate milk thing. He thought that was funny, but he still judges me just because of that. But I don't blame him because I can understand where he's coming from. I was skeptical when I first came into the fandom.
Well, I think the thing about it is that the show, like we were saying, like just quickly about, in particular, keeping like the adult themes as well as the children's themes to make it a fully kind of family show. There are things like the Benny Hill theme tune. No child, like age 9, will get that reference nowadays. So you can.
Well. Yeah, but still, there's always the exception.
Yeah, that's true. But I would say that, it's. I think it's going to be one of those things that has a very long life ahead of it in terms of.
I've heard a lot of people hypothesize there's going to be 8 seasons of My Little Pony.
That surprised me.
That's just after like relating, comparing them with other cartoons and the average seasons they usually get.
I was going to say, if I may, I just kind of want to hijack the whole conversation and say, some people have speculated that they're not sure when to end it, because some things you've seen, like, some people think from experience, when you carry something on for a long time, it will get worse and less enjoyable. Do you think that's the case for this, or do you think it'll just go from strength to strength?
It's still too early to know that.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, it could happen once they finally answer a bunch of questions, but still.
I would like to think
that My Little Pony has good writers for a reason, and as long as they keep that caliber of writers, I don't think the show is going to get any worse.
Again, we can't know, but I would like to think that since these people are so good at this, that not necessarily they'll be able to carry it on for that long.
Yeah, because I don't know
when to stop. That they will know when to stop. That is the best thing to do with the show. You leave them with fond memories.
I just don't see it.
It's a good thing that the writers that they have on there are writers who I know who made really good shows throughout the 90s and the early 2000s. Who it never really went off the tangent and started becoming really bad. Like a lot of shows right now, after like several seasons, it's very bad and overly done.
I'll give you birthdays where it's going to happen.
My Little Pony could become like Doctor Who. And
I mean, if you think about Doctor Who, like you were just going to say, Mitha, it's been going for ages, since the 1940s or something.
40s. Yeah.
64.
Okay.
64 was it? Okay. Oh yeah, it probably was, because it was after the war. Yeah.
It premiered the day after the Kennedy assassination in America.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh.
But yes, it was. See, that's been going since 65, and it's still going strong today. Once they brought it back, and in a way, that's a lot like this show, because that stopped and started again. And look at it now.
Yeah, and it does it by keeping it fresh and not necessarily changing the way it's done, but changing
doing it better.
Who is in it, really. Giving different personalities on it. Rather than changing the story, they change the person in the story.
Yeah.
That keeps it fresh.
Especially since the characters are so different from any other cartoon, and especially the original. The characters have more personality to them than any other cartoon, I'd say, that I've watched.
Especially the Generation 3.
It's really good that they don't rely on a lot of modern pop culture references, because a lot of cartoons nowadays do that, and I'm sick of
just go back to the classics, like Looney Tunes. Pinkie Pie takes after like Bugs Bunny or whoever. I mean, I saw that, the instant.
Oh, the Duck Rabbit
like when I was watching with AR and Elta, the Griffin the Rush-Off. Yeah, I remember that with Pinkie Pie. That basically, Chasing Rainbow Dash, basically paralleled Pepe Le Pew. Yes.
Where are you, man?
Exactly.
I think that's the thing, though. It's taken inspiration from some good things, but it's very original still. For instance, particularly the characters, I'm going to go back to them quickly, is like the original Generations, it was all, let's go off and have a tea party sort of thing. And
Generation 1,
there was no real character.
Generation 1 had a slight exception to that, because, they were dragons, they were conflicts.
They had adventure.
Yeah, there was adventure, but still,
don't get me wrong, there was adventure, actually, but...
Yeah, but it suffered through being a 1980s cartoon, and 1980s cartoon, no matter what you watch, suffers from the cheesiness of 1980s.
Definitely.
And also just the poor... just the style of music they had back then. It was...
Oh, yeah.
The thing about it is that it was very sort of... When I watch something like that, it's very two-dimensional. There's not really much to it. See, this particular thing they're actually very in-depth, and they develop over time.
And that's the thing with G1, because Generation 1, there were, one-dimensional characters, but there was, a billion of them.
Yeah, and you relate to the characters better if they have interesting backstories, things like that.
And when you think of
has a billion characters, but at least they're all very well developed, some more than others, because some have gotten the canon things, but four more.
Yeah, and when you think about it, you're lagging out.
Yeah, you're lagging out, man.
What are you going to say, Mytho, then?
Well, when you think about it, the show almost solely, after it launched, it started surviving off of the fandom. That's what kept it alive, is that people
they started
give that.
getting ideas from the fandom.
Constant flow of creativity and ideas and stories from the fandom keeps it alive while it's being produced, and gives it more depth you really think than it actually has in some cases.
I'd say
because it has depth for what it is, and for a lot of other things are. And at its heart, it is a very good show, and on the outside, it's a kid's show.
Yeah.
But the depth that everybody else gives it is what keeps it alive.
Definitely.
In fact, I'd say...
that's a really good point, but I'm going to have to rein this in here.
Oh, yeah, of course.
One more thing I wanted to go over before we end the chat is the fact that there's been speculation of a movie. As this is a short season, I want to know what you guys think. What is your thoughts on movie shoot?
No, I think if they made a movie,
have to make it
should
work.
be,
Wait, let's go around one person at a time.
Yeah, I think that might work better.
Yeah.
Joel?
Well, I'm kind of biased because this is what me and my best friend hypothesized for My Little Pony, and he wants something totally revolving around more of Luna's side of the story of what she has to do. And if they did do a canon where they do an entire movie about Luna's past, I think that could work. What happened those days before she became.
So you're thinking kind of like a Children of the Night type.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that.
That'd be interesting if they made a movie kind of like that.
At least.
Okay,
I guess.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Really, I think they can make it work, so long as they keep in mind, their continuity and, some of the questions that haven't been answered yet in the cartoon. Going along with what Joel said, it'd be a great idea to include, Luna's backstory and stuff, but I personally would like to see what happened during the Nightmare Moon era and the Discord area, just to see how that comes into place with the cartoon and stuff. What's the relationship between these villains and these heroes before the main six even come along, you know?
Yeah.
You mind if I go next?
No, you can go next.
Go ahead.
I wanted to more talk about the more physical aspect of the movie rather than the content, which is if they came out, if they actually looked at it and decided how to release it based on what their fans are, I think it would do really well, which would mean it would be released on the internet and and TV. And if they put it out in theaters, all hell would break loose because there would be
All the bronies
so
would.
much fighting and so much awfulness in the movie theaters because people love the show so much. There would be... It wouldn't be a very enjoyable movie theater experience for most anyone.
Make a good point.
And, but story-wise, I think if they came up with something that they could carry out for the full-length movie, that would be great. Like, it would have to be something big and something that didn't... And, well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't tie into the series because... Usually the movies of these things don't tie into the series because they want to continue the series storyline separately.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if I could go next after you, Mitho, if you finished, I'd like to kind of pick up what you said and run with it, which is the whole making the story work. That's the thing that I focus on, is the fact that if you look at some of the older things from the older generations, they do things in, like, some of the movies where they, like, that are full length and everything, they solve issues that would be solved in regular episode 22 minutes in a show like in Generation 4, so it would be kind of difficult, I think, to find something that they could actually draw out for a feature-length movie.
You got a point there.
Yeah, and I think, it is quite difficult in that respect, and it's a difficult question really, because what would you rather have? Would it be the series neatly drawing to a close or having a massive feature-length movie? And I agree with what you said about the whole cinemas thing, like not releasing it in cinemas, but it's a very difficult question, really, because more, like, the main thing, I think, is what would you make the movie about? Because it's not the same, you can't have the same scope as episodes can. Like, you can't have a slice of life thing, it has to be a whole hour full of one particular storyline.
I'm going to change mine now. I don't think it'd be a good idea at all to do a movie, because you're right, the episodes are based around, whatever you get down to it, a theme, a lesson, and you can't do that well in a movie that's almost 2 hours long sometimes. Not probably 2 hours long, but it would be from the shorter movies probably, but you just can't really get that across, and that, it might even do the opposite. It could do awfully and, plunge this into the nether regions of wherever things go when they disappear.
There are like the nether regions.
It would have to be a really good
story. Yeah, story. I agree.
Yeah,
and it has to be like a story, not just a lesson. It has to be like an actual.
I was going to say,
an actual story.
Being feature length, you can't really accept anything but the best. It's storyline wise, and that's what I'm saying. My concern is, will they be able to find something that they can draw out long enough? Because they solved things like the chrysalis thing, they solved in 44 minutes. And that is, it's quite long, but it's not a feature-length movie. If you were going to have an hour and a half of movie, what could you put in it? And how would you...
You've also got 1,000 years spanning before the main six even came into play.
Well, I mean, like, whatever time scale we're working with.
With a movie, what I was thinking is there's 3 possible ways they could do it. One is having something that's not explained at all in the show and going back and talking about it, such as a Nightmare Moon backstory, something like that. The second thing is a complete unrelated adventure that was never mentioned in the show, but that happened at some point in time.
Yeah.
That'd be one episode.
Like, do Luna and Celestia even have parents or had parents?
I was going to bring that up earlier.
And
I would actually say, sorry, go ahead.
And just real quick, the final thing that I was thinking is that they could do a movie at the end as a wrap-up, to wrap the entire show as a whole.
Yeah.
It would be a good send-off, I think, and in particular, I would go with, like, if they were going to make a movie and it wasn't a send-off thing, I would say the only circumstance I'd personally like to see a movie is if it was developing the Royal Sisters or something like that, because that would be quite an interesting thing to make a movie about, and it could go on for quite a long time.
Or they could even, how the first episode is not usually the most widely liked episode because it was just starting off.
Yeah.
But they could do something. I could see them doing that if they had all 6 characters in the episode, and it's like each individual one has its own part. Like a bigger version and somehow later version, I don't know how they do that, of the first 2-parter. That would work fairly well because it would be focused around the 6 main characters, and it wouldn't have to deviate from the show's style. It would just be a longer version of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Fill in the gaps.
some sort of thing that splits them apart again. They have to sit
Instantly,
together.
the style of animation, I think it'd be quite interesting to see vector art animation on the big screen, as it were. I know, like, it might not be released in cinemas because of the previously mentioned things, but just a movie made in vector animation, I don't think I've seen something like that before. It might have happened, but I didn't see it.
I've seen shorts on the movies, but I haven't seen an actual, like,
I don't think I've seen anything fully vector animated in Flash that's actually been a movie.
Well, I've seen, like, a short on, like, you know, just those little teasers or whatever.
It's a very long and strenuous process. I'm not even sure, now thinking about it, that they could do that on a big screen well.
Well, they could, they just have to take, like, forever, because, I mean...
That's the thing, though. Logistically speaking, would it be practical to make a whole movie? And monetary-wise, would they be able to afford not putting something out for so long and working on a movie? Because obviously, episode-wise, they can release some and work on the others while that season is being released. If they make a movie, they won't be making any more seasons, so, like, you know, they might lose a lot of profit.
But they could, like, make the movie happen before the series happens, you know, like, or they could just...
Like, you mean, like, put it into production while the series is still going?
That's not necessarily true, because currently there's 2 studios working on the show at one time now.
Yes, this is true.
So,
or even the wild idea would be the lineage of the main 6 in the future. The children of the main 6 in the future. That would be like that. I don't know if that's a good idea, but it'd be interesting.
It would be interesting.
It would be interesting, but it could
go well.
That's what. I was going to say. That would be an interesting concept, but it could go one of 2 ways. It could turn into something quite interesting. It could turn into something very interesting, or it could be like the modern equivalent of Newborn Cuties, where you've got like the children of coming along, and that might not work at all.
I meant it would be a good way, possibly, to that's been used previously to separate it from the show that's still ongoing, rather than like that.
No,
I think the fans
see how
turn south.
We can see how the fan base will react to Princess Skyla if that is indeed
she's a thing. Yeah.
Then we can see what the fandom does with that, and kind of infer upon that what would happen if one of the main 6 had a daughter or a son as well.
You've seen all the shippings that's happened.
I was gonna say, I don't think, like, My Little Pony, like, dealing with pregnancy is such a good idea, but...
Well, they've done it with the cakes.
Yeah.
The cakes.
This is true, but they weren't actually seen to be pregnant and things like that. It just kind of happened one day.
Well, they're not going to see it with Skyla either. Like, they wouldn't show that.
Right.
Probably not, but that's what I'm saying. They have to be subtle about things like pregnancy or death or something like that if it was going to happen.
Yeah, if you imply it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you might... No, never mind.
Fair enough.
So, I think with that, we can wrap this up.
Away.
So, I think we've answered a lot of what people want to see in Season 3, and there's definitely going to be a lot of anticipation leading up to it. No release date yet. I think there's a lot of different rumors going around.
I've heard October 9th, I've heard October 19th, I have no idea.
A conspiracy, by the way. Wasn't there something on?
That's all we have.
Wasn't there something on Equestria Daily that popped up for a few seconds? Are we allowed to talk about that, or will we be shot on site?
No, we should talk about it real quick. It was September 22nd.
No, we shot on site. We can still talk about it.
Yeah, it showed up for a few seconds, if I remember rightly, and AR, I think it was you came into the chat and said, hey, look on the website, there's a release there. We all went there and there was nothing there.
Yeah.
And it had been taken down almost instantaneously.
Now, there could be 2 things inferred upon that. It was, first of all, it was confirmed to be fake. It was a, fake hub website or Twitter that popped up. But the fact that they took it down instead of saying this has been confirmed to be fake could infer that the hub made them take it down because it was fake. Also true.
LAG.
Well, yeah, that's what we were confusing about. Was we were thinking about this. Was how, because normally, like you said, they would cross something out and say this has been confirmed as fake. But maybe it was fake and the website was fake and everything, but they actually got the date spot on, even though they were trying to lie about it and everything.
I was thinking.
So the hub.
Yeah, but EQD has been known to play pranks on us. So.
Well, I don't think they prank about something.
Yeah, they
like
probably
that.
wouldn't. I mean,
not about something with that magnitude. I don't think they prank.
Yeah, true.
Like that.
I mean, they could if they felt like it, but just because.
Also, there's been no further development.
They did bring out the list of fake season 3 episodes on April Fool's Day, but that was...
Yeah, that was April Fool's Day, though.
Right.
You know.
April Fool's Day scared me.
It'd be a bit out of context to just randomly prank something like that. And also, I think it was Mytho, weren't you then? We worked out that actually that would coincide perfectly with the release of the DVD.
The release of the DVD
Yes.
December 4th. If
I know that was previous as well.
they brought the episode out on the...
I was there.
Second.
Yeah, you were.
If they brought out the season premiere on the 22nd, and it was a two-parter. And if the season finale was also a two-parter, it'd be 11 weeks long. And there's exactly 11 weeks between September 22nd and I think December 1st is the Saturday before the 4th. So you could theoretically do a whole season in between September 22nd and December.
And I believe we did work out that it would actually be every Saturday as well. Like,
yeah,
it would definitely work that way. So
I hope it's every Saturday. I've got plans.
Just like soccer.
So either someone did elaborately create a hoax and just actually did a lot of research, or it was actually the release date, and whether it was a hoax or not, somehow that is the right one. And
Saturdays would be awesome. Start off the morning with My Little Pony and with Doctor Who.
That would be, actually.
I'd actually have to have it on Saturdays just because of how busy I am.
Well, nowadays, yeah. I think it's more convenient. Doesn't it air on Saturdays anyway? Or
yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah. I don't think they would change the date. I'm still thinking it's going to be Saturdays this year as it was last year.
Yeah. I wouldn't like it if they did change it, because nowadays, obviously, going into higher education, more busy all the time. So Saturdays is the best time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially considering it's like it's quite... I know they changed the times, but it's because of the time difference, obviously it's easier on a weekend to stay up later and everything to watch an episode than it is to do it during the week.
So, I think with that we'll end the chat.
You said that last time.
Huh?
We extended it a little bit.
Well, yeah, we extended it just to talk real quick about a release date, but
we make them suffer.
But right now, I think it'd be a good time to end it. So, thanks guys for coming on and talking about the show. And so
thank you for having us.
Thanks once again for having me on.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
All we can do now
is thanks for letting me make people suffer.
Wait for season 3 to come out. So with that,
Lightning round listeners, come see the reharmonized ponies on September 15th at Midwestria.
Selfless promotion.
I'm not allowed to do that, Joe.
Okay. So anyway, with that we'll move on and talk about the rest of the